All we're concerned, that's for sure. Look, I was just very impressed with the form of the two competition leaders, I think, Essendon and Brisbane. There's a lot to look forward to this week.
Have we seen two teams so good for such a long time, Caro, with the Bombers and the Lions?
That's the talk, Bruce, but it's round 3. I mean, it would seem that way at the moment. I mean, I think that the big disappointments on the weekend, as you said, Jason, are that Richmond once again had the big centre stage and seemed... well, they did. They blew it. Hawthorn similarly disappointing. Port Adelaide again disappointing, and I think that's accentuated the big two. But it never turns out that way as the season goes on.
Well, one team's won 59 out of 68, Essendon, and the other one's won 18 in a row. I reckon they're the best two teams we have seen for a long, long time together at the same time. The Blues were the biggest losers, though. They were the biggest losers on the weekend. They were bigger than the Hawks, and Port Adelaide rolled into one, I reckon, in Richmond.
And don't we know that there's something going on down there? We can't quite pinpoint what it is, but Carlton have never won a wooden spoon, and they do not enjoy that position on the ladder at the moment. Former greats coming out and making comments about the club. Wayne Britton obviously under a bit of pressure. Dennis Pagan doing well at North, and we know if he stays at North, they'll probably ask him to take a pay cut. So the rumours are rife already. Probably a bit early, but...
Well, John Elliott has come out and endorsed Wayne tonight, as you'd hope he would after 2 rounds. Their forward line, we just saw there, that just lack of goals forward. They're averaging 49 points in their 2 games. Have we reacted too quickly to their demise? I mean, it was in 1998 that they won 1 out of their first 9 games.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to take into account. And you look at Brisbane last year, I think they lost 3 of the first 4. Before eventually...
They won 4 out of their first 9, I think, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, that's going to happen, and you take Slavani out of that side, you take Koutafidis out of that side, Whitnell with a slow start. I mean, there's some serious problems there they have to overcome.
In 1998, there was a power shift in the middle of the season for that very reason, though, Jason. That was the time that Wayne Britton, I think, almost took over from David Parkin, and Parkin reasserted himself, and the rest, as we know, is history. We're not talking this up. It's Carlton are the ones talking this up. They hate losing more than any other team, particularly by that amount.
Does Wayne Britton get less slack because he hasn't got a record as a footballer in the Carlton mentality?
He shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. Look, I don't think so. And it doesn't matter how good a coach you are, Bruce. If you haven't got the cattle to work with, there's not much you can do.
You mentioned Dennis Pagan. Are you suggesting there's some chance that at the end of this year he may A, leave the Kangaroos, remembering the emotional roller coaster he's on at the moment, and B, go to Carlton?
Look, again, we're on the eve of round 3, and Dennis, please, don't take this the wrong way, but we just know that Dennis Pagan's contract is up at the end of the year. The new administration there are looking to make pay cuts everywhere, including the coach, and Dennis Pagan has said several times he would love to coach a big inner-city Victorian club.
Well, Kevin Sheedy's doing that. I don't think he's going to Carlton. He's our guest tonight. We'll have David Smorgan on the program in just a moment as well. What about contact with umpires? We saw 2 incidents on the weekend, Mickey Martin and also Matthew Knights. Now, would have Mickey gone last year for that?
Well, you would have thought so. I mean, the umpires have... That appears to be Matthew Knights just trying to get the umpire's attention, so I'm not too worried about that one. But the other one, if you watch the umpires bounce the ball, they go to great lengths to look behind them, to clear the passage and say, that's where I'm backing out. That's what they try to do. Now, Mick's come straight into that area and hit him, so I think he would consider himself very fortunate.
Well, we spoke to Andrew Demetrio today, the operations manager for the AFL, and asked him about whether there's been a change of policy or interpretation. This is what he had to say.
There are accidental contact that occur between player and umpire, and incidental contact, and that can happen, and it doesn't always mean that it's got to be a reportable offence. I think the umpires, the players are using some common sense as a result of what happened last year, and I think that's a good thing also.
But there has been a shift from last year, hasn't there?
Well, that would have been automatic last year, wouldn't it?
And the interesting comment from the umpire that he hadn't been aware of, in the Knights incident, hadn't been aware of being touched, but then he saw the vision, oh, well, he was touched, but no big deal.
Let's talk footy for a moment. Byron Pickett, whose career has been rejuvenated as a forward. A couple of stunning goals on the weekend against the Bulldogs.
More than a couple, Bruce. Yeah. 6. He was in devastating form. I mean, that one there was a torpedo kick from 60 off 1 foot, was extraordinary. And this one, I watched this one all the way with Kingsley Hunter chasing him, and then he just changed his direction to break off the tag and finish it off. He was a one-man band. He kept him in it in the first half.
I just wonder, he's got to go the distance, but we've got some very good small forwards in the game. Ronnie Burns, Phil Matera, a couple that come to mind. In the list, Jeff Farmer, probably the most explosive of them all. If you look at Pickett's record over the last, say, 18 matches, he's kicked 44 goals. Now, 5 in 82, matches, obviously as a defender. Could he be the best small forward in the game, do you think?
Well, I think so. There's a lot to like about the way he tackles and chases and harasses in the forward line. I mean, there's a good spin-off there from his defensive capabilities up forward. But the other problem he's going to face now is he really doesn't have any key forwards taking the spotlight off him. And if he keeps kicking goals like this, he's going to be the #1 target for defences, and that's going to make life very tough.
Did Wayne Carey intimidate his teammates, perhaps on the field? Not in a bad way, and not, of course, taking away from what he's done for North, but...
Well, I think he took a lot of attention off his teammates. I mean, because the entire planning of the opposition was to stop Wayne Carey, so others tended to get under your guard.
You'd love to have Pickett playing at the feet of Carey, wouldn't you?
Would you?
I mean, what still might happen. Who knows? David Smorgan is our first guest tonight. He's not in here because Byron Pickett kicked 6 goals against him on Saturday night, but I believe you're pretty angry.
Yes, I am angry, Bruce, because a lot of people have worked very hard for many years to finally get the AFL Commission and all the clubs to say the competition with 16 clubs in it and 10 clubs in Victoria is the way forward.
Well, let's go back to last night. This is the reason that you've come in tonight and the reason that you've been bluing all day. I'd imagine that for the good of the game, the program on 4 corners, and the president of the AFL Players Association, Brendan Gale, had this to say.
But I mean, you've got to draw a line at some stage. I mean, how long do you continue protecting the interests of struggling clubs and holding the other player group back?
So we're talking about money here. We're talking about the collective bargaining agreement that's going to come up shortly between the Players Association and the AFL and the clubs.
This was a bombshell, what Brendan Gale said last night, and I've spoken to him whether he was quoted out of context or... And he clearly said to me that he is glad this issue has come up, that he said what he said on 4 corners last night on purpose, because he wanted the issue to come up because there has been a philosophical shift among the AFL Players Association. They didn't take as much of a pay rise last year as they wanted because they were worried about struggling clubs, and there are players from interstate clubs and powerful clubs who no longer wanted...
Well, I just wonder what the 40 players at the Bulldogs, at the Kangaroos, and the 40 players at the Saints and Demons and Cats would be saying to their association about an attitude or a policy that says we're really not interested in 40 or 80 or 120, etc. players at smaller struggling clubs. We want to protect and build up our own clubs and the players at those stronger clubs. I just find that
David,
very disappointing.
Is he saying we can have 16 clubs, but we can't have that many in Victoria? Is that the key point that Brendan's making as well? I mean, he's not necessarily saying we can't have 16 clubs, is he?
No, but, well, I think the reason, and David's not the only Victorian president I've spoken to today, or we've spoken to, who's ropeable about this. The fact is that there is a strong belief from the Victorian clubs that if you lose 2 Victorian clubs, it's wherever they end up, that this is going to hurt that very heartland of footy.
How would you feel if your players agree with Brendan Gale?
I'd be very disappointed. And I found out that there was no Western Bulldogs representative at this conference that was held prior to Christmas. I need to understand why there wasn't a Western Bulldogs. But I would hope to think that if there was any Western Bulldogs player at such a meeting, that they or representatives from any of the smaller clubs would have put their hand up and said, hey, what about taking us into consideration? Why should the richer players get richer at the expense of players at other smaller clubs? And particularly that this policy has been so welcomed by the whole football public throughout the nation. And here you've got the president of the Players Association being the first one to put some damage into the situation.
Your delegates are Rowan Smith and Brad Johnson, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, are you talking to them?
I will be talking to them.
What are you going to tell them?
We missed each other today.
They might have been ducking you.
Well, I don't think they were ducking me. No, they're not the
joking.
sorts to duck the issue or to duck me on it, Bruce. And we'll have a talk. And I know that this evening I spoke to Chris Grant and Luke Darcy, who were the 2 players that I did happen to bump into at the club, and talked about the issue. And I think it's a concern.
David, there is an argument, of course, that says that clubs such as the Bulldogs and the Saints and the Kangaroos and the Demons are in the positions they're in now because they've made mistakes off-field. Not necessarily David Smorgan or Alan Aylett or Rod Butters, but the club has made big mistakes over the last decade or 2, long-term mistakes, and why should the players pay for it?
I don't think anybody's asking the players to pay for the mistakes. What I think we've reached a situation is with the AFL now having agreed with the unanimous support of all clubs to a financial assistance package that gives every club an opportunity to become viable. If we aren't viable today, give us a chance to make up for those mistakes of the past. And what we need is the total commitment to that. And I thought we had the total commitment, including commitment from the players. And so Brendan's statement last night was the first that and I think everyone has heard, that there's not a commitment to all the 16 clubs in the competition and to the 10 in Melbourne.
It would seem also on the program that the division between the northern states and the traditional Victorian power clubs has grown after Richard Collis and Eddie Maguire. Let's relive that. Eddie was asked a question and Richard's sort of reply was stated to Eddie, and this was what unfolded.
He says he's developing the competition and that high-profile people in Melbourne, quote, could do a lot more to grow the game rather than indulge in petty parochial football politics.
Yeah, well, good on him. I think it is unbelievably arrogant for some people whose teams haven't been in the finals for X number of years, who until recently have been losing money, to classify themselves as rainmakers in the AFL. I mean, it's ludicrous, and it belongs to a bygone era.
It's not just
So can I
money.
do that to Eddie?
He wishes he didn't. He's fined himself $5,000. Who do you have sympathy for in that situation, Eddie or Richard Collis?
No, I don't have sympathy for either in this case, Bruce. I think we've got to be bigger than this. I think we've got to put aside a lot of the personal animosities that get in the way of developing the AFL brand. And I was disappointed with last night's show. I thought it was going to be a much clearer picture of the AFL and about the issues, some of the serious issues facing AFL football. And I think it reverted to a bit of a slugging match between personalities. And I thought the ABC didn't do justice to the attempt they tried to put and portray AFL football.
The people they interviewed didn't exactly do themselves any favours either, though, David.
Well, you know, that's their business, Caroline. Everyone does it their way. You know, you've got to look at those situations, but it was trying to portray in a serious way the serious issues that are facing us. And they were trying to compare the Essendon Footy Club to the Bulldogs and the Kangaroos to Carlton or Collingwood. And I don't really think a lot of those issues came out. And I think it reverted almost to a footy-type show where there were jokes and innuendo going between individuals, and I don't think it was appropriate for that sort of show.
It's the second finger we've seen in the last few days, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I never knew that Nathan Brown was going to be a leader so quickly of showing what not to do.
What did you think of it?
I wasn't happy with it, no. And I think the fine today was an appropriate fine.
Fair enough. Thanks, David, for coming in.
Bruce.
The man who's going to be sitting in that seat in a moment is Kevin Sheedy. What a record he's got. I mean, there's so many stats about Sheeds that we could put up, but have a look at this. For the last 75 weeks, Essendon has been in the 8. Closest to that, 15 Brisbane, and then we go down to Adelaide 5. The Supercoach with us right after this.
Tuesday night, we're talking footy.
Can they turn this stadium into a piece of art without the moles spoiling their day? Strap yourself in and enjoy the ride. In a high-flying, all-new Mole, Wednesday, 7:30 on 7.
Go Harvey Norman for great deals on leather lounge suites. The Natasha 3-piece leather lounge suite is an affordable expression of style for just $29.99. Featuring high-back comfort, padded armrests and generous seating, the Sonata 3-piece suite is only $29.99. The Napoli 3-piece suite is generously proportioned for comfort and is available in a choice of colours for just $39.99. With style and comfort, the Morena 3-piece suite by Nicoletti is fully crafted in Italy for only $49.99.
Go Harvey Norman, go! And it's hard to break it
I used to make these kettle chips. They called me the Frittler. We select only the finest potatoes, and we crafted them with care. But you young people must have plenty of things to do without listening to an old man like me.
Hey, you seen all the chips?
I get them every time. Suckers!
Hey, watch out for the Whittler!
Whatever your dream, here's your midweek chance for it to come true. Wednesday's Hats Lotto. Your midweek chance to dream.
Need to perform some home improvement magic? Jump into Bunnings Warehouse. We have the biggest range at the lowest prices every day. Like 600mm yard broom, $12.90. Crescent 13-piece screwdriver set, $29.97. Superior brass railway shelf, $71. Organic sugarcane mulch, $17.66. 15-piece sandpaper pack, $2. And if you happen to find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Warner Brothers Pictures and DreamWorks Pictures take you.
I'm from the past.
800,000 years into the future on the most extraordinary adventure of all time. The Time Machine.
Not since Maggie's death has PJ faced a challenge like this.
I'm her son! You will do anything to revive her!
She wants to say goodbye.
Her brain started shutting down.
But can he let go? Blue Healers Wednesday.
The most interesting insight into Kevin came in 1974. We had played North Melbourne, and by, late in the last quarter, we had the game well and truly won. And I remember our runner coming out to one of our players to tell him to come off the field so that one of the reserves could get a run on the field and be a part of the premiership. And the chap that the runner came to refused to come off. And short of him being dragged off, he wasn't going to go because he wanted to be there, experiencing that great feeling of elation when the siren goes. I remember thinking to myself at the time, hell, I hope they don't ask me, because I don't want to go off the field. I want to be here to experience that great elation also. And then, from what I saw, Sheedy, without even being asked by the coach, Tommy, volunteered to go off to allow one of his teammates onto the ground to experience that final moment of elation. And if my memory is accurate, I think Sheeds might have been best on the ground that day.
Has he got a good memory, Kevin? Welcome, by the way.
Greeny, yeah, gee, the solicitors, they always do, don't they, But, oh, look, it was just a situation where the whale wanted to get on the ground, and I believe Whale Roberts was a tremendous sort of morale player for Richmond, and he deserved to be on the ground. I'd have my time.
Kevin, you're always welcome here, but you're in between milestones, 750 games as a player and coach on Friday night, and 500 games. You joined 5 other men this Sunday. I want to start with Jake Watson, though,
yeah.
Tim's nephew and Larry's son. You've got a son playing at Xavier at the moment. Tim's got a son who's playing too. I mean, how did you feel when you found out the news?
Well, pretty awkward. You always do. I think that, West Adelaide's a club that I'm fairly close to. A lot of people that I know at West Adelaide, Black and Red Club. I mean, Jake's been a keen follower of footy in the Bombers, and Larry's the whole Watson family are what you would actually say are a beautiful family. I mean, all the brothers, of the ones that I've met, and I've probably met 3 or 4. So, it's just, they're beautiful people, and you can't say much better than that. The whole family.
Sorry, Kevin, when you're watching your son play footy, is it different to watching your players?
Oh, yeah. It's not easy at all. I went and watched on Saturday, to be quite honest, and, you love your kids. And the worst thing in the end is you wish them, you want to actually empower yourself into their thinking and their mind, but you just got to stay back and not interfere, and the best time I have in my life is when I drive my kids to school every morning, and footy's fantastic, but sometimes you like to probe into their subconscious mind and think about how they're thinking about their life, or where they want to go and what they want to do. And I've got 1 boy and 3 girls, so it's probably a little bit different because the odds aren't there. But in Sam's case, I just want my kids, and like Tim and Larry, I just want your kids to be lovely people.
Can I stay with Tim for a moment? It was one of the great relationships in football, Sheedy and Watson, but one that soured a bit, but now seems to have got back on track. Who made the first move to get it back, Sheeds?
Well, look, it's probably not a talking point from my point of view much, really, but I think that, you never got to a point where it was that soured. You know, it was just a situation of... And what happens in your life is that because you've been in footy for such a long time, you operate for 20-odd years as a coach. I mean, things happen, you know. I mean, I'll never lose my love for Tim Watson, ever, or any of the players that I've coached. As a person that's older and hopefully live life a little bit longer, you should be the person that builds the bridge. And I think that Tim and I and all the other Essendon players that have been senior players and gone through tough times, retirement times, life after football times, where you play, well, I mean, it's all a very difficult program, but the situation in the end is it happens in every club, and you see so many players leave a club and go and play for 8 games or 10 games for another club. And I'd like to say that most of my players that have been captains, Madden and Watson, Mark Thompson, Gary O'Donnell, James Hird,
Kevin,
they've all been at Essendon.
Yep. Who haven't you made your peace with that you'd like to?
Oh, you'd have to say Derek Kickett because we've never crossed paths, but I think Derek needs, and I need to sit down one day.
Kevin, just talking about some of those relationships, as a coach, to get the best out of yourself as a coach, can you afford to be particularly friendly with players? I mean, do you have to draw the line as in, I can't be great friends because that emotion might get in the way of some decisions I have to make?
It really is difficult because you love them all. I mean, Dean Wallace and Kevin Walsh and all these guys that I've always feel that the player with the lesser ability, sometimes you've got to support them all because the player with the greater ability is always going to make it. So how do you work with the player with the lesser abilities or in the middle order? Because the superstars get most, you know, and so when you're trying to sort of build a club of significance with your board and your management, Peter Jackson and Graham McMahon and everybody, you're trying to... I mean, it's not easy to pick players and develop them to fill the MCG or Colonial. They're big grounds. I mean, we at this stage in the history of our game, we've got the greatest stadiums of any country I know of that have 19 million people.
It's a good point. You're going to fill the stadium on Saturday night.
But the stadium's too small now.
This is
for us.
Yeah, that's the gap. How are you getting on with Lee Matthews?
Well, I think Lee's a superstar. I do. I mean, look, forget about the headbutts and the arguments and the debates and all that. Lee Matthews is... I mean, I played on him when he was a kid.
You must have biffed him because he's been getting back at you ever since.
Yeah, but that was the deal.
This is 1990. He's sort of been a thorn in your side, Kevin, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, if we hadn't have coached, I would have had 6 premierships. maybe. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. But the deal at the end is, I mean, is that what life's about too? I think we've got to get bigger than that. And I think that Lee Matthews really has been... gee whiz, look, you have to put him up there with the best 4 or 5 of all time.
You shook hands together in 1990 after the grand final.
Yeah, I know, look, you mentioned that, but...
Here you are together there in 1990. Who finds who? Is it the winning coach that goes and finds the losing coach?
It's pretty awkward, isn't it? I mean, 1 minute, yeah, I mean, he did make a comment the other day, but I would never mean that I didn't shake hands with him that day. But I'm not worried about it either, by the way. The deal in the end is, I'm there with my players, we've just lost. And sometimes you feel like, to go all the way, see, we're on either side of the ground now. We're not on the same side, and it's different. And it also is, it's an interstate side. So you're there, it's gone, it's done. You're walking your players, you're talking and patting Jimmy Hird in the head and saying that we'll get back there again, you know. And all of a sudden, players are up and jumping around in the Premiership Cup, and you sort of time. I mean, the actual 4 minutes escapes.
Kevin, what about the timing of the revelation? The fact that it's just come out now, since the grand final last year, and you happen to be playing them this week?
Well, it only makes me more ruthless about the whole issue, but that's how I think about things. But
he's calling you bluff a bit, isn't he? Well, he raises the stakes with you all the time.
That's good. It's a game. It's called Russian roulette.
I've never asked you, or I've never heard the answer as to why the players wore their armbands, their black armbands, below their elbows on grand final day.
Yeah. I don't know.
Nothing to do with going Curra, do you know?
Was it an allusion to drips by any chance?
Oh, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. To me, I would have thought it probably was about Michael Long and Dean Wallace. But I don't know.
But why down there and not up there then?
So
well, where do we wear them this week?
So, Caro, what do you think?
I reckon it was a psychological ploy against Brisbane. It was sort of generally felt, wasn't it, after that game? And I'm not saying this is why you didn't win, but there was a very big mind game going on before the game, and that perhaps Lee got under your skin a bit and under the skin of the players. Yeah. They were talking down Essendon.
I think some people forget that Brisbane are a pretty good side. And I think Melbourne and Victorian clubs haven't respected Brisbane's effort. And that actually is silly.
So the hydration, you're talking hydration drips. So you never asked the players about the... You weren't curious enough to ask the players?
To me, it's just about picking your best side that's available and you try to win the game. And Brisbane won the premiership and they should be respected. It was a fantastic win to come to Melbourne and win the premiership. And all the whinges and silks around Melbourne or whoever, Essendon fans, the whole lot, cop it on the chin and get on with life.
Does James Hird, have you stopped being surprised with what he can do? I mean, I'm thinking about his outrageous effort on the weekend.
Look, he's nearly going to push it. He's going to push past Watson soon.
As the best player you've coached?
Well, I think Watson was magnificent. I think Madden was just a superstar. But, you know, once again, we've had a lot of debates around the table, like we are here tonight, and it's all about, do you pick a ruckman ahead of a 6-foot-2er, ahead of a rover, because it's all about the 2-miler in racehorses or the sprinter or the Cox plate. So how do you run it?
Sunline versus ethereal. Yeah. Who's the better leader? Who would you rather have, Michael Voss or James Hird, Jason?
It's a tough choice, Bruce. Look, I think they're clearly the best two in the competition, probably a bit like Essendon and Brisbane. There's a bit of a void to the next, but personally I'd probably pick Voss first. I just think Voss wears his emotions better than James does.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, and that's the only, if we're splitting hairs, that's the only weakness I can find in James as a player, is that sometimes his emotions get the better of him and his body language, I think, can have a detrimental effect on his teammates.
Hird?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a great game this week.
Well, we're splitting hairs, aren't we?
Kevin, there's three huge scenarios. Two great clubs, two great coaches, and two players who probably are the two top players in the game right now, the two top leaders.
Isn't it great for footy?
It is. Now, this is the closest they got to each other on grand final day. Is there any chance this week that James Hird might put his hand up and say, do you want to take on Voss?
Well, it wouldn't worry me.
Is there any chance they might run together for a while on Saturday night?
Oh, I can always arrange it. I'll ring Lee.
We'd love to see it.
It's only a phone call.
This is not underestimating how well he's played this year, but he hasn't had the toughest opponents. I mean, Danny Frawley has said publicly that he made a mistake playing Ray Hall on him.
Well, I mean, we can't help that. All I know is that Hird's pretty keen to get on with the business of footy. And you can see it in his approach because, you know, not many guys miss 2 years. And, I mean, there's one photo in football I'll never forget, and I've seen a lot of photos in footy, but when Jim Hird picked up the Premiership Cup in 2000, I've never seen his face look like it ever. Ever.
Well, it was a remarkable story the whole year. I mean, he and Michael Voss share a lot of things in common, including a Brownlow medal together.
Well, I'm not big on Brownlow medals.
Okay,
I don't like the system.
Okay, I know you don't like the system.
No, the system's a very average system, by the way.
Okay, if you, in 30 seconds or 20 seconds, tell me a better system.
Get professional about it. That's all. It's a joke.
It's a joke, the Brownlow?
Well, I think it's... look, I've looked at 40... I reckon I've looked at the last 44 years I've been involved in footy, since following it and watching, and I'd probably say that we've dudded 20 superstar champions of the AFL.
Tell me one bloke that's won one that shouldn't have.
Graham Teasdale.
Well, you called me bluff. Okay. I didn't think you'd give me one.
Should the umpires vote for the Brownlow?
No, not at all. I think, in all honesty, we are not professional enough in giving the greatest award, the greatest...
Well, Whitten, Ablett, Carey, the list is long.
The half-forward line would be Hart, Carey, Ablett.
Matthews and Wimley.
Matthews, Hudson, or I'd say Hudson, Wade, and you probably put Nichols in the forward pocket. The ruck would be Farmer. You'd probably throw in Cable and Bartlett, so don't even get
OK, you've answered my question pretty thoroughly. Malcolm Blight's of the opinion that you can kill a team off a lot better than Brisbane, a lot quicker, that you're the fast starters They're great finishes. Have you had a look at their third quarters of late?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They come over the top, don't they?
Have a look. 20 goals to 2 in their last 3, 39 to 7 in their last 7. You want to be in front at half-time, Sheets?
Well, they haven't played Essendon, really. I don't think Essendon last year. I mean, Peveril wasn't in the grand final side. Blumfield and...
You're making excuses, Sheets.
No, I'm going to tell you. Well, Peveril wasn't. I'm just going to say we'll turn up with a new side. And don't matter about this weekend. It's who's going to be the better side at the end of the year. With anyone.
Last question before the break. You joked about making a phone call to Lee about Hurd and Voss.
Well...
Peveril for Voss?
No, not at all.
Not Peveril and Voss?
No.
Ramanaskas?
No.
OK.
Ramanaskas.
Tell us in the commercial break. I don't think you were... We're going to get someone else to chat about you after this.
Good.
Yeah, stay there.
Good show so far.
It's been terrific. We'll be back with Kevin right after this.
Tuesday night, we're talking footy.
For over 40 years, we've lived the game, breathed the game, and loved the game. And in 2002, with the unrivaled experience of the 7 News sports team, our AFL coverage will remain first class. And joining the 7 News team, Kevin Sheedy, the best footy brain in the business. If footy matters to Melbourne, it matters to 7 News, nightly at 6.
I did my knee at work a few weeks back, and the doc says that I'll be off the road for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. I mean, sure, I can't drive, but I reckon there's other stuff that I could be doing. And the doc thinks so too. I've got 2 good hands, and I know the place inside out. But instead, here I am doing nothing. It's not like I'm helpless.
Every employer in Victoria will soon receive one of these return to work packs. Read yours and keep it handy, because helping injured workers get back to work helps everyone.
That's the worst part. I could be doing something.
Right now at McDonald's, buy any breakfast McValue meal and you'll receive a pack of Wrigley's Extra White absolutely free to help keep your teeth clean and white.
Whatever your dream, here's your midweek chance for it to come true. Wednesday's Hats Lotto. Your midweek chance to dream.
For a ham and muffin melt, a tasty is.
Eventually along came Gary O'Donnell, and Gary been running around in the twos for, I think he played 80 or 90 games. The day came, he got picked in the last with Roger Merritt, like as a boy. Drop. I wasn't on. I go. Peter Dacos, he did. So the first game, the Bombers gone down with on the third.